Hello, Sam. You are up next.
Hi, Bart.
Sam, are you also calling from Parks?
Yes,
Ah,
second park call.
another Parks call. All right. So, are you playing 2-5 or what?
Yes, 2-5.
All right. So 2-5 1K cap, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do you know Michael G?
I do. Yes. We were actually talking about a hand we played recently on the email chain.
You played against him?
Yes, a bunch of times.
You played a hand a bunch of times. Oh, I thought he played like 12% of hand.
We played at the same table a couple times, a bunch of times,
All right.
and he
So,
got me good. He had the nut flush, I think, that
oh,
hand.
nice. All right. So 2-5 1K cap at Parks. Okay.
Hero is under the gun +2. I'm sorry, the $1,000 effective. All stacks. Hero opens under the gun +2 to 20 with Queen of Hearts, Jack of Hearts.
All right, so +2 hero to 20 with Queen of Hearts, Jack of Hearts. One of my favorite hands in No Limit. Queen Jack suited because of the barreling. Get credit for an ace and a king. Don't get credit for a queen or a jack. And it's connected on the high side. So if you get like at least a 9 out there on the flop, you can turn some equity. So hero to 20 with Queen of Hearts, Jack of Hearts. Okay.
Low jack and hijack call, and the cutoff 3 bets to 125, and the action folds to me.
So this is a tough one here with two people to your left. He made it 6x. And the low jack and the hijack have called your opening from fairly early position. I don't want to play super pre-flop police. You're at 1K effective, so you have to call 100 more. And he made it 6x. Probably this is just a fold here, Sam. Especially if one of those guys is going to come in between. Now, if you were like in the cutoff or on the button and you opened and then somebody in the blind 3-bet, of course I would call, especially in position heads up. And I might even call like late position versus button 3-bet. But you're early. This is probably maybe like one of the bottom parts of your range that you open from here. And there's a chance that you could be playing this in between from out of position. So I think to 6x here, I might actually fold my favorite hand. But we wouldn't have a call if you've ended up folding. Did you think of 4-betting here, though?
I did think of 4 betting, and a couple of things went into that. My image at the table, I think, might have been kind of interesting that moment because I had lost 2 all-in pots probably in 20 minutes. I lost queens to kings all in pre-flop, and I lost a boat over boat, and I didn't show my cards for either of those hands. So I'm curious if like the 3 better thought I was like a punter. I'm not sure. I don't want to read too deeply into that, but that did kind of cross my mind. But
Well, that's a problem. Yeah, like if you have a bad image, I always talk about like I'm I'm very big on short-term image at the table, and it's not necessarily a factor of winning or losing. It is, or excuse me, I'll say that again. It is a factor. It's not a consideration of being like loose or tight. It's actually more of a consideration of whether or not you're winning or losing in the short term. So if people see that you have a losing image, right? And usually with a losing image, you actually want to tighten up and play more value oriented because you're going to get called down more. So I don't like to like stick some 4-bet bluffs in certain situations if there's kind of a cuspy situation when I have a losing image, just because I think I get less credit. So if you were to do some 4-betting some of the time, this might not be the time to do it. That's why I always think like totally randomizing in live poker is not, you're actually leaving something on the table if you're trying to randomize, because there's always something that we can grasp at that can give us more information in sort of our decision making if we're in a situation where we might do something 50% of the time, as opposed to like totally randomizing. Here, whether your image is good or bad in the short term would be a factor in that. Sounds to me like you called.
yes, I did call. I'm just quickly. I don't want to spend too much time on pre-flop here, but if we were the only one left to act and it would be heads up, would you usually call or fold in that spot?
Well, I don't think he would go. I mean, he wouldn't be going 6x, would he?
Right.
I mean,
That is a great point.
if you just went to 80, yeah, I would probably call. You know?
Right, right. Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
My read on the situation was there was some body language from hijack and low jack, and just the way they had been playing. I really would have been surprised if they called, but I agree with you. The size also matters. But I called because I didn't think low jack or hijack were calling, and so I did call, and they both folded. And we went heads up to the flop with about 290 in the pot.
All right. So 290. I mean, the other thing too about four betting off of just, I mean, you start at 2K. I mean, you start at say 200 big blinds, but just the nature of large sizing, the larger sizing that people take pre-flop in live poker, you would be much shallower. Like if you went from 20, it went call, this guy went to 125. Even if you went to like, 275 and he called, the pot would be like 600. You're going to go with like less, like 1.5 SPR to the flop, which I mean isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it gets very, very shallow quickly when people are using like standard 4x open and large 3-bet sizing. All right, so your heads up, the pot's 290 in a 3-bet pot. Okay, with queen jack of hearts.
Yep. Flop is 5 of diamonds, 4 of diamonds, 3 of spades.
5 of diamonds, 4 of diamonds, 3 of spades.
Yep, just absolutely bricked.
Yep, 5, 4, 3 with 2 diamonds. Okay.
Hero checks and the cutoff checks.
So the cutoff checks behind.
Which kind of surprised me, to be honest.
Yeah, this would be bet here a lot. I mean, if you're just looking at his pure whiffs, I guess you could have something like king, queen of like clubs, or something like that. But yeah, I would imagine that this flop would get bet a lot. Even the ace highs could start to even run a bluff. Like even if you had like something like ace king that's got a boatload of equity against like a hand like nines, tens, jacks, and sure it's like the nut no pair, but with the added wheel draw, you're really not supposed to have 6, 7 or ace deuce or 5s, 4s, and 3s. So him with the lead here, it's kind of a range and almost a nut advantage. So I would imagine this gets bet a lot. So yeah, it is a little strange. So cutoff checks behind. We're still at 290. Okay.
Turn is the 4 of hearts.
So 5 of diamonds, 4 of diamonds, 3 of spades, turns the 4 of hearts. Okay.
Correct. And it checks through again.
I assume you're still just kind of done with it here. And I don't mind you giving up here too. Like, I don't think I'm going to start a bluff here on this card. I don't really expect him to fold out that much here, even with some ace highs. And you just get some better hands to do this with. I mean, you have absolutely nothing. Hero checks, cutoff checks behind.
And the river is the jack of clubs.
Jack of clubs. So, I mean, his hand looks a lot like ace high here, Sam. If he check back the flop and check back the turn, and he has a lot of ace high that looks like he wants to just kind of try to get to showdown, what would you do? Or what do you think that I would say here at the end?
Probably throw a relatively small bet, maybe 1/3 pot.
I would bet the river here for sure. Some people saying that they would bet turn and bet river across, like start a bluff on turn. I said that I wouldn't probably pick this hand to necessarily do that with, but I can understand the logic behind it. Here, I would bet for value for sure. I mean, it's not anything crazy, but like maybe like, what would half pot give him like 3-1? 125 to 150, something like that.
Yeah, I agree. Everyone I've talked about this hand, they say something similar. My thought in the moment, there was maybe potential for him to bet as a bluff if I checked to him. And my big thing was I kind of felt like he was capable of folding ace highs often. That could be incorrect thinking. If I just put the right bet size out, ace high just might have to call. But I kind of thought this player in particular would be capable of folding his no pairs. Not that I think he might have any with the way the hand played.
Well, I mean, so Nate brings up an interesting thing in the live chat here too, that a lot of players will bet actually with ace high on wheel boards in a 3-bet pot. And I'm saying his hand sort of looks like ace high, But to counter that, a lot of people will bet with ace highs on wheel boards. It just kind of, it's a little bit perplexing to me if he does bet a lot of ace highs, what he has here. Because is it just a pure give up? Like, so if he had just an absolute pure give up, like king, queen, which of course you block some of that, is there merit to possibly checking here and trying to have the guy like bluff you off of ace high or something like that? Usually, like, though, I still think this is more ace high than just a pure air. I just, again, think at this level that in this exact spot, betting and getting called sometimes by ace high is going to show more overall expectation than, say, checking to induce a bluff to get a guy to turn like king 10 or like king queen that didn't start bluffing into a bluff. That's me personally.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I did check though for the reasons I was talking about.
Hero checks, okay.
And the cutoff shoves for 875.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is very bizarre.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone in the chat was thinking this hand was probably pretty boring up until the river. But this is the big reason why I called it in, is I have no idea what to do in this situation.
Wow. What's interesting, don't you have like one of the best hands you can possibly have here in this spot? And I don't mean, and sometimes people overdo that, but I kind of like, my gut reaction here is like, you probably don't end up here with a jack all that much, I would say, as played when he checks through flop and turn. So sometimes like a guy could just bet. I mean, I don't know why you would take this necessarily sizing. I mean, he's just like, you're going to just fold out everything here. If you don't have a jack because you didn't bet the river, I just can get you to fold out everything here. 7s, 8s, 9s that didn't bet turn, whatever. I don't think you're checking anything like with it's super thick, for all 3 streets. Probably, unlikely to have a jack, and I'm just going to get you to fold out everything here, and I'm going to bet almost 3 times the size of the pot, right? And the math on that for him is like, if he's risking 3 times the size of the pot, well, if he's betting the pot, it's 50. 2 times this pot would be 66, 75% of the time. He's got to get through 75% of the time, like 1 out of 4. He needs to win here 75% of the time, the MDF, which means that you need to defend down with 25% of hands that you get here with. And does your hand fall? I mean, listen, from an MDF perspective, does your hand as played? When you take a look at all of the hands that you play like this, defend to a 3-bet with 2 people behind you pre, check the flop, check the turn, and check the river, does Queen Jack fall into the top 25% of hands that you would have here as played?
I think that absolutely it's in the top 25. I think the only better hand I get here with is ace jack. I just have to think. I don't really think I have pocket 5s here based on preflop. But I mean, if I did, I'd be betting
at some point
earlier.
I mean, that's just the logic behind it, like MDF. It's just a really, really strange. I mean, it's hard for me, like I said, it's hard for me to get here like this. I think it's hard for a lot of people, and a lot of the chatters were saying that they would actually start bluffing on the turn anyways, but I don't know if I run into a jack as played if I do a lot of checking here at the end. And if for some reason I did, it would be a rare situation, meaning like if I have your hand here, let's say I check the river like 1 out of 10 or like 2 out of 10 times, and then all of a sudden I'm faced with a shove, I would have a hard time folding, to be honest with you, just because I don't get here like this all that much.
Right. Do you have? I mean, I guess you were saying that kind of think that it might be some ace highs that just are trying to bluff me off of small pairs and better ace highs. I mean,
well, some sort of ace, but I don't. Again, like you go back to like the whole thing of, well, do some ace highs start betting? Like I don't think it would be like ace king. I mean, because I would think that ace king would have like too much showdown value if it just checked through the whole way, right? So it almost have to be something that was just had decided that it wasn't going to bluff, like a hand, like, say, like king, queen. And maybe king, queen could be like the best hand to do it with. And what I mean by that is just like any hand that he has that gives you like less of a chance of having a jack. So if he has king, queen, you have less of a chance of having like queen, jack, and king, jack. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you defend with jack 10 suited, but that's where I'm going with that.
Right.
So what did you end up doing?
I ultimately agree with you, and I decided I couldn't really get to the river with a better, which maybe I can get to the river with ace jack, but I called because I thought it was basically the best hand I could get with, and he showed me king jack of spades.
Oh my God, what?
Yeah. Absolutely shocked, actually. Like, I feel like I used.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised, and I think I showed it more than I usually do.
Oh, that is insane. I mean, I will say again, this is like a results-oriented show. I don't like that play at all by your opponent because that's the type of bet that I would think that he would want to milk out value from like a hand if you didn't start betting turn. Like a hand like sevens, eights, nines, or some sort of other ace high. If the only thing that you're going to call with here is a jack, like if you're not going to hero down with anything else, it's terrible for him to have a jack here, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because there's less of a chance that you're going to have a jack.
The interesting thing about this, Bart, is I really think this is just like a solid thinking player. Like up until this hand, I just viewed him as very solid, potentially pro. And when he made this play, it was so shocking because it was just so out there. And then when he showed that hand, and he did talk about the hand, by the way, and he was mentioning that he was trying to get value from like sevens, eights, nines. And it got me thinking again, going back to what I was saying earlier, did he kind of just think I was like a massive payoff fish because of the two hands that he had seen in the last half hour? That I would call with sevens, but in reality, I would have never called without a jack.
Yeah. Well, that's what I would have thought too. I think I probably wouldn't have called with some of the, again, it's hard for me because I think I kind of do a lot of betting here on the turn with a lot of those hands, but I don't know if I bet. I don't know if I call without a jack here, like at a minimum. So, because it's such a huge bet. But if I got here with the jack, it's hard for me to fold. But again, from my opponent's perspective, like he's going to blast off everything most of the time that's not a jack. And because he has a jack. And the other thing too is like his hand, I don't know if you call with jack 10 suited here, like you call with queen jack suited, but you probably call more with ace jack than you do queen jack. So he could sometimes even value own him. Like, I don't know what he's trying to do. Value own himself some of the time here. You know, if you always have ace jack here and you don't always have queen jack and jack 10, we already said that queen jack suited probably should have been a full pre-flop. Then sometimes he even accidentally loses if he's actually value betting here.
Right. I mean, what I said at the table was like, wow, it's too bad I didn't have ace jack like I could have. Like, I just win. But is there anything to be said about the suits? Like, because I was thinking about that afterwards with the jack of clubs out there and kind of thinking ace jack of diamonds and king jack of diamonds have to bet flop or turn, that it's only ace jack of spades and king jack of spades if those are the hands he's shoving with, if that makes sense.
Well, you don't think the backdoors bet a little bit on the flop? Spades are the backdoor, right?
Boy, I mean, I would think so. As I said, I was just so confused about this hand and kind of didn't know what to put him on. And I was very surprised. Not that I knew what he had at all, but I was very surprised to see what he had.
Yeah, I can't fault you for calling, though.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes me feel a little better.
Thanks for the call. I appreciate it.